I was just shocked that supplements could be as effective as a medication. And that was the first time that I was like, wait, like these things could really work. Again, I want to preface hey, people need to be on antidepressants sometimes. We all need them every so often in life. Life can throw some curveballs at you. And if you need it, by all means. But I just knew I didn't want to be on it the rest of my life.
This is the Home of Healthspan podcast, where we profile health and wellness role models, sharing their stories and the tools, practices, and routines they use to live a lively life. Julie, good morning, and thank you for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to speak with you and your entire audience, and I'm very excited to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is a conversation I've really been looking forward to, and I think our audience is going to enjoy a lot. But before we jump into all the reasons why and what's so exciting about it, how would you describe yourself?
So I am a lively mom, lively, just human on this planet, doing the best I can every day with what I've got. I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, and that's me in a nutshell. And just lively, I'm probably passionate about health and well-being and how it impacts our mental health and how that mental health kind of having a positive mental health ripples out into the world. And I just really want to be one of the voices in that space of like, let's motivate people so that we can create a happier or a healthier / happier world.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, I just finished a book, The Field, talking about the energy that we put out and can kind of feed off of each other. And people are going to be hearing voices. There are going to be bits of information going out there. And so making sure that yours as a voice of positivity, as hope and potential is one of those being heard, that makes a lot of sense. That's wonderful.
I think we all have like our role to play. Like everybody has their talents, and this is just something that, like I feel like I've been doing since I was, 5, 6 years old, for as long as I can remember, like just interested in food and how to feed myself, what's the healthiest thing, and that's love. And then, taking care of myself, we'll get into my story, but it's just, I feel like that's who I am. I was born to be this.
As we get into your story and you're talking about it started so early at 5 or 6, what does living your best life for your entire life mean to you or look like to you?
I'm a lively mom, and I have all this like mom energy. And now my son is 18 and doesn't want my mom energy. And I feel like I have this like, just this strong desire to help people to grow and to educate them, but to grow into better than they were yesterday. It's like, what can we do? What small things can we do today and build on those, small little habits? Walking a foot a day will get you, 365 feet versus like my mistakes in the past are trying to implement this whole plan where it's going to take you from 0 to 365 in a month. It's like, that always seems to backfire. So anyway, I want to be that person I think I am. I'm like always that person in my friend group. It's like, oh, wait, what are you doing? Wait, how are you doing this? It's like, I get so excited about all the different things I learn. I can't wait to share it with everybody. And
that really is the purpose of the show. And really what we're doing is highlighting role models like you, right? The people who others are coming to for advice saying, hey, it's not just that you're another talking head. It's that I'm seeing the life that you're living and it's inspirational. And I want to learn from it and how you approach it. And so what got you into this in the first place? You said kind of starting at 5 or 6. I mean,
well, that's what I kind of learned, my desire to like cook, that started with like mud pies and duck eggs and grass and my best friend, Millie Anderson, but that's, way back. So I kind of fell into this accidentally. In my 30s, I had a really rough 30s. I was married, divorced. I had gosh, I was told I had 2 lumps in my left breast. I moved probably 4 or 5 times in like, this is all in 36 months too. Let me just preface that. So like within 36 months, a marriage, so like a big wedding, a marriage, divorce, and which was just so, and then 2 lumps in my left breast, the moving, and I quit my job that I had gone to college for as an engineer with no idea what I was going to do next. I mean, I was literally like, I don't know, I guess I'm going to waitress. I can't do this. And then a man tried to kidnap me at knife point. So like 36 months, I was just like the most stressed out human being. I was certainly like, I'm probably 40, 50 pounds heavier. I don't even know how much heavier I was. I know I was like, I'm a size 4 now. I was wearing like an 18, I think. I have no idea. Like I was so stressed out, and I went to my doctor because she had already put me on an antidepressant because, it was like going through a divorce. It's like, yeah, okay. And then when I went back saying, hey, I have acid reflux, she's like, hey, let's put you on this acid. And it was just kind of like, yeah, like you're just going to take these the rest of your life. And I was so glad I listened to my intuition, because it just said, I don't know, like if you're having a tummy problem, shouldn't it be something I'm eating? Like maybe I'm allergic to something. Like, shouldn't we check that? I mean, mind you, like looking back, I'm like, I was drinking a bottle of wine a night, sometimes finishing with whiskey. Like, it's like nobody asked me. I mean, now, like even now, like if I drink red wine, it makes me depressed, not to mention all the hot flashes, but like it just, it's like, oh my God, I was like on a depressant every night, I mean, it was just in the name of, oh, this is good for you. So, it's interesting looking back, the questions that weren't asked. But so I had friends that were going to naturopaths because there was a college of naturopathic medicine. So mind you, this is like late 90s. And so like this happened from 1997 to 2000. So I thought, I got nothing to lose by going to somebody who's going to tell me like, eat this, don't eat that, like how can that hurt, before I put myself on yet another medication. And she said, yeah, sure. We can help you. The first thing she said is get off all wheat and dairy. And I was like, wait, what? Like I'm drinking, a mocha and a mocha every morning and a scone from Starbucks. I mean, I can't even, like I look back, it's like, well, no wonder I was so overweight. Like that's a lot of calories, plus the wine at night. I mean, that's a lot. So I got off the wheat and dairy. She also put me on some tummy healing teas, nothing to, because I was like, I don't really want to take pills, and within 2 weeks, like the acid reflux was gone. And I was just like, I felt really good. I was just like, wow, like this is crazy. How does this work? And of course I followed up with her and she said, well, if you want to try getting off the antidepressant, like now at 36 months, I've got, therapists in place. I've got a whole team actually at that point of like coaches and therapists and really helping me kind of put my life together. So the need for that was kind of gone. So I thought, yeah, let's give it a go. And sure enough, like she put me on this nutraceutical protocol. It was kind of the first time I heard that term. And I was just shocked that supplements could be as effective as a medication, and that was the first time that I was like, wait, like these things could really work, and so not to say that, again, I want to preface like, hey, people need to be on antidepressants sometimes. We all need them every so often in life. Life can throw some curveballs at you. And if you need it, by all means. But I just knew I didn't want to be on it the rest of my life. And so that was just very, very helpful to see another way forward. And I was shocked at just how simple and easy, because I was getting off venlafaxine, which is apparently a pretty hard one to get off of. Now, mind you, I'd only been on it maybe like 12 to 18 months, so it wasn't like years. But some
more
people,
than a year. I mean, that's still,
some
it's
people
not
really,
like it was a week or two.
Yeah, and so I just was like, I don't know if it was just I was up. Like my diet was like getting better. I started exercising. Plus she's got me on this nutraceutical protocol. And it was just like, wow, like I felt amazing. Like I hadn't felt that good in a very long time. So I just became aware of the fact that like there are natural remedies out there that are as effective as, medications. So I started, I started just being mindful of what I was eating, working out, and eventually I kind of returned to having some dairy, some, I still, I eat wheat and dairy now. It's just not a main staple of my diet. It's like cheese every so often and, bread every so often. I will never give up bread like ever. But anyway, so I just want to say that. So that was
so
like 30.
In terms of not giving it up, I mean, have you cut back on it, or is it?
Oh yeah, way back. Like it's just like it's like saying you don't eat mustard. That's the way I look at it. It's like nobody, I mean, I don't know, maybe people don't eat mustard, but like, it's like a condiment in my life. It's like I just have it every so often, especially when I'm traveling or like it's just been the holidays. Like over the holidays, like 2 weeks, like the last 2 weeks of the year, I kind of like, like I kind of do what I want so that, by the first, I'm in so much, like I don't feel so good. So I can't wait to return to my, it's like, oh, this is why I eat the way I do. We can get into that. But anyway, so that was 30. So I started like, working out, doing what I thought was healthy, had my son. And then when he was like 3 years old, it was like, I was just about 40. I think I was just early 40s. I started like losing my hair. I started like, I was really like, I was so tired. I can't even like explain how tired I was. It was just like just this, like a walking shell of myself. And now mind you, like, again, it was it was following a stressful period. My brother was killed very tragically. My son was 3. I'm raising him on my own. It was another challenging time, but I just thought like, hey, I'm like this healthy person. Like, why is my hair falling out? Why do I feel this way? And thank God I had a friend who just said, you should just go get checked for heavy metals. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, and I had just had this, like my dental amalgams replaced. And I think I had swallowed some of this. Oh, wow. So one little chunk of it. So, but that was just the tip of the iceberg, because when I did go in and get checked for heavy metals, it turned out like I just had so many. I mean, everything from tungsten to, I think there's another A in there. There's aluminum, antimony, but there's another arsenic. There was like all the typical like lead, mercury, those were all off the charts. So I lived all over the world. I've lived in the Middle East. I'm a very adventurous eater. I love fish. You think it's good for you, so I was eating fish all over the world. And, I mean, God bless the Middle East. I'm sure they're getting better about this, but I'm sure a lot of the fish that I was eating there, or even in Europe, I mean, people are only becoming more aware of like how much, kind of the fat in those fish absorb. Yeah. So, now obviously I eat fish, but I'm just careful about sourcing it. But, so I do think it's that, but coupled with the fact that I have that, MTHFR gene, I just was not detoxifying properly. I mean, I wasn't like, taking methylated. That was the first time I heard about methylation status. This doctor really helped educate me and understand how my body works and what I need moving forward. So moving forward, it was like, hey, you're going to always need to support your body in detoxification. And, here's how to do it. You're going to take these methylated B vitamins, up your, like for me, I'm just chronically deficient in magnesium. So I need to take a lot of that. And then just look, it was like, hey, let me just look at like ways to naturally detoxify my body. Cause at that time we had done like several rounds of chelation therapy. And what was most noticeable to me was like somewhere around halfway in, like 6. So you go in, you get a chelator one day, which is, don't do this at home, folks, even though, like they sell it over the internet, don't do it, because it binds to all the minerals in your body. So you're sucking out both all the metals, but essential minerals that you need as well. So then you go in the next day and they remineralize you with, whatever it is you need. So that 6th time I'm driving home, and I literally, like, I can still remember exactly how this felt. It was like, it felt like there was a fog that was like around my head that just went away and my peripheral vision opened up. And it was just the weirdest thing to me. Like, I was like, what is going on? Like, this is amazing. And I was just kind of like, sat with this, and I'm like, is this how the rest of the world feels? Like, I didn't know what I didn't know. Like, I didn't know that I felt so. And what was really striking to me over the coming months was this low-grade depression that I'd always been living with. Like, I didn't have any trauma in my life. I mean, we moved a lot when I was young, but there was nothing. And it was like when I would sit in therapy with traditional therapists, we were always kind of looking for, maybe there's this trauma, something we can kind of go back to. There was just nothing. There was just nothing. And so when that lifted, this like low-grade depression was just gone. And it was like, I was so happy to like be alive and, like, wow, I've had a good life. And, it was such a game changer. And so I was like, I want to always feel like that. But I also became obsessed with like, what don't I know that I don't know? Like,
Yeah,
so
that's a
like,
big thing that, people say, oh, I'm fine, right? I eat dairy, I'm fine, or I eat gluten, I'm fine, or whatever it is, right? That I'm totally fine. And if every day you're waking up at 40%, you think that's 100% because that's the top that you're used to. You don't know the difference. And so I've had friends that found out they didn't have celiac, but they had a gluten intolerance. And they're like, oh my God, for the past decade, I basically woke up feeling hungover and didn't realize it because it was just every day because I was eating so much gluten. And it's the same kind of thing, I guess, with the heavy metals that we don't, you only know your own subjective experience.
Yes.
And unless you have that variability, you don't know what's possible. And that's a really exciting thing about the interest in this space now is people unlocking those next tiers of, hey, let's not just try to get through the day. Let's see if we can make it absolutely amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what we have to look at, so like, at that point in time, I was like, well, I'm just going to go on to try it. Like, like I would learn about, being a vegan. I'm like, well, I'm going to go on to try it. Like, see, do I feel better? And of course, like initially I felt better and then I felt worse. But, like you have to kind of look at, how to say this? Like I always like examine certain, programs, protocols, like any of those kind of things from that way forward was like, well, like how unhealthy could it ultimately be? So like one of the things I was really into, Dr. Klinger, he talks about using like cilantro to detoxify the metals in your brain. Well, it's like using a cilantro extract for a few weeks and then not use. I'm like, I can't imagine that could be too harmful, versus like using an actual chelator like that is very harmful. But it's, it's like, so I just was always looking for ways to kind of go on these try-its, to see would it make me feel better, for the long haul? Was it something I just needed right then? But, so I would encourage people out there if, somebody's saying, hey, like, get off all wheat and dairy and hey, try it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then if you don't feel any different, then you don't feel any different. But I think most people know within a week they feel really good.
Yeah. And if we can just kind of take a step back on this journey. So as I understand it, you had this really, really rough 36 months. You have not just low grade depression at that point, but you're mentally not in the best space. You're physically not in the best space. You're having acid reflux. And rather than all these pills and medications for life, you say, hey, there may be another way. And at that point, it was very much around diet and exercise seemed like the big thing. And then you go and you have the heavy metals issue. And so you start addressing that and then ongoing. And so it started around 97 to 2000, as you said. So it's almost a quarter century in on what you're doing now. And so for people who may not be as aware, if you didn't look at the notes before, like you ended up getting to a place where you were second on the longevity leaderboard, right? Like you have people like Brian Johnson spending $2 million a year on health, and you ended up ahead spending something like $150 a month.
It depends on what you include in that. So we can get into that. But
so this is but it wasn't like an overnight thing. I guess what you're describing is over that 25 years, it's a lot of test and trial, and maybe stuff that worked at one point doesn't work at another point, or what works for other people like vegan. Hey, I felt great at first, but then not so good because maybe I had some other deficiencies that weren't getting picked up. And so it's this constant course correction. And I would love to understand kind of where you are now. Like if we start with nutrition. So you said, hey, I tried veganism. That did not work for me. That did not make me feel good. And the fish, hey, I need to be careful of that because of the heavy metals. What does nutrition look like and mean for you at this stage?
So I'm a total omnivore. I eat everything and anything. I'm a cook and a foodie. So I love trying new things. I mean, I draw the line with bugs. Like I'm not eating tarantulas and I'm not going to go for the cricket. It's just makes me sick thinking about it. Okay. So I draw the line with that, but I will try pretty much anything and everything as long as I know that it's from a clean source, So, but it's a pretty omnivorous, but vegetable heavy diet because if there's anything so from that, detox forward, I just kind of started researching, what's the best diets? How do you keep your body, in a detox state? What's good for methylation? So it turns out all these vegetables, it's anybody realizes this, like you hear about like, oh, broccoli has, vitamin C, or has like, oh, it has sulforaphane, and that's like super good for detoxification. And then, oh, it has this. And it's like, so why not, instead of like taking sulforaphane, like why not just like eat the broccoli? Like why not just eat the carrot that's got all the different things? Because I know we haven't figured it out, but I am sure there's a way that these things work synergistically together. I can't imagine like us as humans, we evolve. Like I kind of think like, okay, if everything kind of went like I was, all of a sudden we're living in tribes again, what would I be doing living in Phoenix, Arizona? We will be like I actually have had a backpacking survival training trip. And it was like, the first thing you do is you start picking up plants and like, oh yeah, I can eat this, and you're just like noshing on plants all day. And then I'd imagine, you've got the occasional kill. So like, and I love meat. So, but I just don't eat it like every day. I'd say 2 or 3 days a week. It's maybe a meatless day or whatever. But yeah, so it's just like a vegetable heavy diet. So I just hit a metric. I just thought that's a good metric. Sarah Godfrey was talking about a pound of vegetables a day. And so I thought, yeah, that's a great metric. Like it's just makes it easy to kind of reach for. There's another doctor, Dr. Anna Kabeka, who talks about menopause. And she had one of these diets that I went on, like a try it, she calls it Breeze Your Way Through Menopause is one of her programs. And she kept speaking about eating your greens and how important it is in menopause. And sure enough, I was like, I cannot believe this worked. But within 10 days that I was on the diet, I lost like this 7 pounds, obviously not all fat, but like, I just was like, oh my God, that menopause weight was gone. And I really attribute it, she just kept going on and on about the greens. And I was like, yeah, so I make sure half of that is greens. So 8 ounces of greens and 8 ounces of other vegetables almost every day. I mean, again, we're just getting off the holidays. I get less rigid around the holidays and kind of do my thing, but I find that I crave them.
Sorry, on the greens, like 8 ounces of greens to get, 250 grams basically of greens, because they're very light. Like what the volume to be able to get. Well,
so here's the thing: I cook them. You got to cook them. So I feel like you have to. I don't know. I eat. I'll eat a few lettuces raw, but like when we're talking about kale and collards and all that, they just taste better, but they're high both in oxalates and goitrogens. So when you cook them, that kind of reduces those things. I mean, if you're going to eat something every day, I think you got to be careful about. You just need to look at the anti-nutrients. I think, Dr. Gundry's talked about lectins and those kind of things. And so I just think there are things in these plants that may not be good for us. So if you're eating that every single day, I just think we need to be mindful. Like, is there something in there that might not be so great for me? So I just, I was having some, what I thought were thyroid issues. And it's like, oh, goitrogens. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't be eating these raw every day. Let me cook them. And so when you cook those greens down, we were talking like a half a cup of greens is 8 ounces of greens. I mean, it is like nothing. It is nothing. So you add, I put half of that in a smoothie and the other half like with my dinner at night, and done and dusted. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It was a volume thing. I was just thinking, because I do a lot of raw greens and they take up so much space. So if you're cooking them down, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. So it sounds very similar to the Michael Pollan, eat food, not too much, mostly plants.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like think of that all the time. So yeah, it's just, and I don't know, like I try to eat what I crave within reason. I mean, if I'm craving candy, obviously like that's a no-go, but if I'm like this time of year when I'm kind of transitioning back to like doing my thing, like there's going to be a few nights where I'm like, sure would love a cookie right now. It's like, well, those days are over. So I got to that's a no-go. So anything that involves like sugar, flour, those kind of things. Even like I'm not a huge dairy lover. So if I crave cheese, I have it, or, like yogurt, I'll have it. But it was nothing I ever really liked. Yeah. So yeah, that's my diet focus. Oh, and 100 grams of protein. So that's another metric I try to hit almost every day. Sundays, again, I take a break from all of my metrics, but I think that's important as we age, that we, build muscle and continue to maintain that muscle. So that's usually a combination of like vegan protein powders and some meats or beans or some other vegan sources at night. Yeah.
Now, besides the protein powder, are there other supplements? I think you mentioned methylated B vitamins. Are there other supplements you add on top of the whole foods?
Yeah, so I always take a D3K2 combination. I think that's pretty clear. And I frequently, so, I guess in the tradition of biohacking, I'm all about like, hey, I test my blood, make sure, like I do more so than even what I check in on these things kind of more often than maybe my doctor would. Like my doctor will do this stuff once a year, but I kind of do things every 6 months, some things 3 months. So, but my D is actually pretty optimized, but I still take that every day. A B vitamin, a B complex every day. I do take fish oil because, again, I don't really eat as much fish anymore. Yeah, so I take nicotinamide riboside, and I'm on hormone replacement therapy too. So that's not technically a supplement, but there's like a combination of supplements I take. So DHEA, and these are all like, again, folks, go to your doctor and don't start taking. You can get pregnenolone and DHEA over the counter, but just warning. Like I was taking pregnenolone with the help of my doctor, and I think it's what I developed a fibroid, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it was the extra pregnenolone on top of the estrogen I was having. So we're still working it out, but so do these, anything that's hormone related, you always want to work with your doctor because you could, look, we're looking at cancer if you don't do this right. So don't start. There's a lot of people talking, oh, just take it. Everyone's deficient. It's like, like magnesium is one thing, you'll pee it out, but other things, be careful. So there's that. And then I take nicotinamide riboside. When I was part of the study where, that put me on the Rejuvenation Olympics board, I was taking Novos NMN. So we get into the Novos Core. So that's the other, like the longevity supplement that I take is Novos Core. And that has a whole host of supplements in it, which is why I love it. Because it's just like super, I don't work for these guys. So just, preface that it has like calcium alpha ketoglutarate. It has glycine. It has vitamin C. It's got some more magnesium malate in there. It's got quite a few things. Fisetin, which is a great senolytic, a zombie cell detoxifier. So I take that every day. And then when I was part of the study, I was taking their NMN, but I was already taking NR before I was familiar with Novos, and I felt like, I think NR works better for me. So once the study was over, I've gone back to NR, and I just feel like it just gives me that extra, I don't know, like NMN just didn't ever feel like it worked for me. And I don't know if it's just, maybe I don't convert it properly. I have no idea. I don't know what's going on. But so yeah, I take that, and I'm trying to think. And sometimes at night, like lately, I've been taking apigenin, been experimenting with that just for better sleep because we've had to reduce my estrogen. So I'm kind of going through this mini menopause, and it's just messing with my sleep a lot. So I've been testing out a few things, but nothing's set in stone right now.
And on the sleep, is it trouble falling asleep, trouble waking up too early? Is it?
So what happens when your estrogen lowers is like, instead of getting like hot flashes during the day, I just have this like one hot flash all night, and it messes with your heart rate variability and your autonomic nervous system. So that like, I just lay there and I'm hot all night. So it's hard and my heart rate, my goes up to try to cool me off. So my heart rate is like high all night long. And it doesn't, even my room is like 62 degrees and I'm sleeping with almost no covers. And like, it's just, it's awful. It's awful.
Yeah,
so we're, I'm working with my doctor. We're figuring some things out, and it might just have to be like this right now, because to shrink the fibroid, you just lower your estrogen, because it's a sign of estrogen dominance. So we're working through it.
Mattress covers to try to cool the bed?
Yeah, that's a little like above my budget right now, but that would be the goal, is to have like an 8 sleep, and just like something that would cool me down all night long would be brilliant.
Well, the chili pad you can do for half the bed, so it can be half the price for a little less to get
good to know.
To it. I have one of each depending where I am. So
interesting.
I'm a big fan. Yeah.
Okay, you like both of them, huh?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I like both. Okay. Experimenting some with sleep supplements. What else kind of in your night routine? It sounds like low sheets, very cold room.
Yeah, very cold room. Eye mask, tape. Yeah, eye mask and tape for sure. Like, and even, I pretty much black my room out, but I still I cannot stand any tiny bits of light. And that's been going on forever. Like, even in one of the things I should have known, like with the heavy metals, they were causing a lot of insomnia, and that was going on for years before I did my chelation therapy. And it was one of the first things I noticed afterwards, like how great I slept, I slept great for years until it was like last July when we had to like cut the estrogen. And so it's been ever since then. It's like, oh my God, this is horrible. I hate this. I remember this.
Yeah. Do you use a sleep tracker so you can kind of get data on the quality?
I bought this was my Christmas present. I bought a Ultra Human, and I'm testing a product. It's this really cool little, it's really neat. It's like a wrist red light from this company called Luminous Labs out of Austria. It's really cool, but you just wear it on your wrist, or you can put it on your head or your belly. It's a really cool thing. So I'm testing that for them. And I've only been using it like not even a month. So it hasn't made any major difference that I can see, but I'm still experimenting with like the best time of day to use it and all of that. So, but yeah, we did a pace of aging test. We've done a few tests, and we're going to look at, after using it for 6 months and then another, it's like a full year. So we'll see what it does. But I'm hopeful that it'll help the symptoms.
And it's supposed to help with sleep is what it's supposed to.
Yeah, it's just supposed to help like with all kinds of mitochondrial issues. And so that hopefully will help. So yeah, so I use the sleep tracker, which is like almost worse because it's like telling me every day, like, how bad I slept. I'm like, oh, this is maybe worse. I don't know.
So you talked about fitness, and has that changed with time? Like what you do? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, like so many people up until, I don't know, recently, I was kind of like cardio focused, it's like, that's what you do. I mean, I always lifted weights. I knew the benefits of that. I started in college lifting weights. I took like a weightlifting class. I actually started when I was in swimming, and, but I didn't ever do it enough to notice. But when I took this weightlifting class in college in my 20s, it was like, whoa, like this really, like, it like sculpts your body. Like you could really see it. And I was like, wow, like this is the secret sauce. So I was always lifting, but I was kind of following this like high rep, low weight thing. And so I was doing that up until, recently, like when I heard Stacy Sims on Huberman's Lab, and talking about lifting heavy. And I was like, oh, okay, like, let me try that. So that's what I've been experimenting with now, is like kind of going down to 5 reps, but doing 8 sets of 5 reps at a, very heavy. I'm trying to do, right now I'm doing these ladders. So you start at like maybe 3 or 4 reps for your first set, but it's like a really heavy weight. Then you lower the weight and increase your reps until you get to that third, and then you kind of go back down. So I just remember doing that in weightlifting class, and it really like builds muscle fast. So I'm experimenting with that right now.
And is it squats, deadlifts? Like what exercises?
Yeah. So let's see. Well, yesterday, what did I do? I mix it all up, and I do need to kind of tighten that program up. Kind of like look at it over the course of a year. But right now, I just kind of go in and I'm like, oh, adult playground. Let's see, what do I want to do today? It's like I just try to like get 3 to 5. Usually, I hit 5 different exercises. Like so, on lower body day, I'm just going to do like yesterday. I did deadlifts, squats, split squats, or what are those? Yeah, split squats. And then I did some walking lunges, and I did these cable like kickbacks, and then I do this like Roman chair thing. I don't know what it's called. I don't even know what the names of all these things are. I just kind of go in there and like, it's an adult playground. It's super fun.
And you're doing 8 of 5 reps heavy on each of those?
I know, right? That's what somebody else. I think somebody else was here, and they're like, "Oh my God!" Well, trust me, it's really like, "Ow, what did I do?" But it feels so good. Like, I don't know, it feels really good. And so, like, then, I might not do as heavy a weight as like the next workout in the week. So I'll do those twice a week. So I do lower body twice a week. I do upper body twice a week, and I try to do core stuff every day, but doesn't really happen. So it doesn't always happen every day.
It amazes me how many different things can work, and that it's mostly switching up, right? Like I've had maybe 4 or 5 programs that I've done for a year or more over the past 10 to 15 years, like some will last longer than others.
Yeah.
And there's not dramatic differences. There's quite a big difference in what the program is each one, but the results for me aren't that dramatically different. It's basically I'm just kind of doing something until I get pretty bored of it. I'm like, hey, it's time for a switch. And I try something else. I'm like, oh, this is great.
Yeah. That's how I feel. I just I want it to be fun. I want it to be like, oh, I'm in my little playground. I get to do this. And I don't know. I try to make the gym a really enjoyable experience. So it started after college. I joined a gym and they had a sauna and a steam room. And I was like, oh, you know what? I was kind of, as we all are after college, is quite poor, just trying to build so I got these really expensive, smelly soaps that I would only use when I went to the gym. And that was a game changer. It made going to the gym this playground / spa that I would go to and just finish with, and I would only use those. And so anytime I smell these things, it just makes me I get that feeling of so right now I'm obsessed with Aveda's shampoo. So that's what I'm kind of using. And at that time it was the Body Shop, different stuff. But yeah, it was just, it's a really nice, little hack, aromatherapy hack for people that, that they notice that.
Well, it is such a powerful, I know from memory, it's really powerful that I think in college they were saying, slicing oranges or something while you're studying, and then you can kind of remember some things better. But that positive association, I mean, funnily, this past weekend, it's something I've been really trying to work with my daughter. I have a daughter who's about to turn 9. And I think initially it was fun. She would come to the gym and they had a rope she could climb up, and she had a friend there and we'd work on pull-ups and do different things. But I think she kind of got tired of it, got too samey. But now she's trying to get into more high jumping and long jumping. And so we spent a good chunk yesterday YouTubing what are the best exercises in the gym to build strength for that and build that skill. And so now she's getting excited to do it again. But it's really finding what makes it a playground. And
exactly.
It has to be fun. For a 9-year-old. It really has to be a playground to attract her.
And I'd imagine they have to switch it up a little more often too. They get, it's they're not into routine like we are,
Right. Yeah. We're just heads down, go in. Yeah. So that'll keep me young, keep me playing.
Yeah. So, well. And so then additional, so that's 4 days of my week is weightlifting. And on top of some of those days, I'm doing, some zone 2 cardio. I walk every night as well, but, or at least I try to walk every day. Now that I have this tracker, it's kind of nice. Okay, can I get in, 15,000 steps a day? And then, I'm doing a VO2 max. So, usually my Monday is I go in and I do my VO2 max and a little bit of, core workout. And that's just a Norwegian 4x4. So I'm doing the 3 minutes, slow, 4 minutes as hard as I can for those 4 minutes, and then 3 minutes slow. And, you do that 4 times. And the hot tip on that is to go get the funnest music that you can find that just makes you, that's the way to go. Whatever music that really gets you going, that's what you want to put on.
What do you do it on? Is it a treadmill? Is it a bike? What do you?
I do it on a step mill because I just find it easier. I have high hopes of, one of these days trying a bike, but I just feel I haven't cycled for so long, and I don't like being on a stationary bike. It's just so I can handle a treadmill, but I can't handle a stationary bike. And I love running, but my knees don't. So they have decided not to cooperate right now. So until I can do stem cell therapy or something, I'm not running. So
So what's a step mill?
It's
a stair stepper?
Yeah, the stairs that roll, they roll forward. It's a little different than there's elliptical trainer. It's not an elliptical trainer. It's there's basically
I know what you're talking about. It actually rotates the stairs instead of the pumping the stairs. It's rotating. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's really
changing
nice.
The speed, basically? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just change the speed. And my mom graciously gave me this Polar, which I haven't tried yet. So I can't wait to get into the gym and try it. Because I find the trackers don't work so well for the VO2 max when your heart rate's going up really fast. They take a little while to catch up. So I'm going to do the Polar heart rate monitor and really kind of get into that. And I'm hoping I can get outside and do some too, but we'll see. Again, it's just more a matter of my knees cooperating if I'm running, but just I'd rather be outside, getting somewhere as opposed to stationary. It's not that fun.
Yeah. I've not done it on the stairs. I've done, or really, I do either cycle or assault bike where you have the arms and the legs, or rower. I've done it on an erg.
Ooh,
and then my favorite, and that hurts the most, is swimming.
Oh, you've done a VO2 max as a swimmer.
Yeah.
Because I was a swimmer. I grew up swimming. So
Yeah. So I do, it's short course meters. So if it's long course meters, I'm trying to dial in as close to 4 minutes as possible. So if it's a long course, I'll do a 300. So it's 5 by 300s on 8 minutes.
Ooh, I like that.
Short course, it's 350 meters.
Okay.
So it's just trying to get what is the rough distance it hits me right around that 4 minute mark.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Now I just need to get like headphones I can wear in the water, because I kind of gave up swimming because it's like I go back to it and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so bored. No wonder I was good at math, because I'd be like, okay, I've got 40 laps. I've done 3. That's like 3 to 40 is what? And, just sit there and do math all the time.
Now, so I have friends. Cool. We get together and do it, and so then we're really pushing each other on those. Like it's racing, so it's. You can't go soft. It's hard. Yeah.
So I don't do any mobility work. Let me just back up. So I would like to add that I'm a pretty flexible person already. So I felt like, let me just work on building my muscles, because I can like more easily bend. So I'm thinking of adding another, like a day of yoga, maybe on the weekends. I love hot yoga. Like I did that for years. I absolutely love it. So I thought, maybe I'd start doing that on a Saturday just to kind of end the week, but we'll see.
So we're looking at 4 days of heavy weights, 1 day of VO2 max.
Plus a high intensity another day.
High intensity is different than the VO2 max.
Yeah, I just do like an 8x8. So you do 30 minutes super high, because it's pretty interesting on those days, because I'm 30 seconds super high.
Like a Tabata style.
Yeah. And then I do another minute and a half, like not slow, but and so it's cool because you can kind of go a little higher than you would in that.
Yeah, of course.
4 minutes. So I just like to do that as well, to just kind of see how far, what's the highest number I can get on the step mill, just for fun. Yeah.
So you push it, you do something every day.
Yeah. I'm doing something every day for sure.
Have you experimented with rest days at all?
Sunday is a rest day, and Sunday is not only a rest day, like I don't do anything. I mean, sometimes like if a friend, like I was out walking the other day, like if a friend asked me to go for a hike and I want to go, it's my day of like zero commitments. Like, it's my rest day. Now I'm typically in the kitchen that day, kind of prepping my food for the week, but that is to me, like, again, it's such an enjoyable, de-stress, meditative time for me. It's very, very, you don't ever have to push me in the kitchen. It's like the place I go when I'm stressed. It's the place I go when I'm happy. It's my happy zone.
Speaking of the happy zone and kind of the meditative nature of it, you talked about having been on antidepressants in the past and not now. What is your kind of stress management practice at this stage? Do you have a day-to-day or week-to-week?
I am a meditator. I do transcendental meditation, and I learned that, in 2019. So I started, and it was pretty good they want you to do it like twice a day, but it's really hard to stop twice a day for 20 minutes. So I only do it one time a day. And I usually do it somewhere around mid-afternoon, like 1:00 ideally is kind of my I'm going to sit down and it really, it's so interesting. Like I would say, I don't know, most days, certainly over 50%. It's like I'm sitting there, and I get a few rounds into it, and it's like, you just realize like, oh my God, like if I didn't meditate, I wouldn't have stopped this stress, brought the shoulders down. It's like, wow, like how much stress we carry through our lives, even on happy days, like it's just all of a sudden you're up like this and okay, I'm going to calm down, so that's kind of like a reset.
It's a different level, but the way you just described it sounds so similar to that cloud lifting when you were talking about driving. Yeah. That you just get to this point where your body releases, your mind releases, you kind of had it tensed and then it just releases down.
Releases, yeah. So it's like a daily practice. Again, Sundays are like, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I need one day for my brain to just kind of, I'm more of a right brain person, and it was never very, even though like people, if you look on my website, you'll see things are very scheduled. I didn't live my life like that before. It was always just very right brain kind of bebopped around and did what I needed to do, but I never had everything scheduled. And then you have a child and you're like, well, if I want to get anything done, you better have now I'm like a general. Everything is very, very ordered.
I mean, both being swimmers, I'm just very similar in that back to most of my life is so scheduled. Like, here are the things, here's what I do.
Yeah.
But what feels the most a holiday is that kind of Sunday where you can just say, there's nothing, right? And I feel comfortable completely releasing here because I know I've taken care of all these other pieces. Exactly.
And I know that the next day I'm going to get right back into it. The same thing like when on the holidays, taking those 2 weeks. And it's funny, it used to always be the last 2 weeks when I found this year, I didn't really want to eat junk and all those things, but that's my time of year to just kind of I'm just going to let go and let my brain sort of relax. And I still went out and exercised. I still ate healthy, but it just wasn't as regimented. It was just kind of let me just do what I want to do. And I don't know. I need that right brain. It's almost like I read a lot of health books, but then every so often it's or I'm listening to all these podcasts and then all of a sudden my body just from my brain will just be okay, stop. We need a fiction. I need something more creative in my life.
Yeah. I mean, admittedly, until kind of this past 2 weeks at the end of the year, I hadn't taken a day off in 9 years since my daughter was born, other than I got attacked by a pit bull one day on my way to the pool. And so I ended up in the hospital that day, but I was back the next day. I just didn't get there that one day. And so this has been a learning for me too, because I think I personally had this fear of, well, if I miss out one day, will I come back?
Yeah.
Well, if you're the kind of person who can keep going for 9 years, you're going to be okay.
You're probably fine. You're going to be fine. Because you're not going to it's good to almost put for me again, again, I didn't go crazy, but even we had pizza, from a gross place, and it's I wake up the next morning feeling so gross. My eyes are watering, my stomach hurts. I feel like I'm hungover and it's oh, that's why I don't eat this. It's oh, okay. Or I have too much sugar and I would have extra hot flashes all night. I never drink alcohol anymore because it's literally I cannot handle it at all. It's it makes me just the menopause symptoms go turbocharged, so I just don't drink it at all. But sugar was always something. And now that's kind of becoming something I just can't do it all either. But it's good to kind of see. And I guess I trust myself that I have all these systems in place that I've been doing for 25 years. It's I trust myself to put it all back in place. Nothing's ever going to just go to HE double hockey sticks in a handbasket. Yeah, as we say.
And so we started this kind of talking about your best life, your entire life, and being a mother and having that desire to give back. And it's living for something more than yourself and kind of outside yourself and serving.
Yeah.
And understanding that is one of the key 5 pillars, social connection, right? We know socially isolated older adults have a 50% higher chance of developing early onset dementia, as well as all of the physical, not just mental risks. And so knowing how important that is to you, how are you going about making sure that is a consistent part of your day-to-day and life?
It's interesting because, this is something when I started learning about longevity specifically, and this came up and I was whoa, okay. Because I've moved around a lot. I've had international moves. I've moved, it's we need PowerPoint presentation and infographics to talk about where I've lived, So I've had a lot of friends. I'm really good at making friends, but developing those relationships, I've never really learned how to do that. And now I've been living in Arizona this time consecutively since 2017. It's the longest place I've lived in my entire life, ever. And I've been learning about this. I'm getting very intentional about, who are my friends, connecting with those people and learning more about them and, supporting them and really, in, the times that I need to be a little bit more learning to be a little bit more, vulnerable, with them. We've gone through some stuff, but it's really something I'm way more intentional about that in the past I wouldn't have been. So I've, got 2 absolutely dear friends. And for people out there that may be in a more lonely space, let me just one I met on Bumble BFF because they have a BFF thing that you can meet. And I went out on several quote unquote friend dates, but ended up meeting my best friend. Turns out I grew up in LA. We grew up like 7 miles from each other. Our dads worked together. We never knew each other. It's hilarious. But we met here in our 50s, before she was 40, I was 50. And then my other friend heard me on a podcast and reached out to me on Instagram and was like, hey, I'm also in this space and I live in Phoenix. And we just became great friends. I guess what I'm trying to say is like for people out there that may feel like, oh gosh, because I felt like this a long time. I didn't have like a really close friend. Like I said, I moved a lot. I had lots of friends all over the world, but it takes some intention. It takes a little bit of intention on your part to like make it happen. And then I also focus on, I don't want to belittle, like even first of all, the smaller connections I have with my friends all over, those still matter to me. But also like, I think we have a connection like to our food. We've got a connection to the earth. We've got a connection to like our work, even the work that you may or may not like it's still like those are human beings. And so you connect with them on some level, whatever that is. Like I've just really tried to see connection, period, as important, not necessarily these my deep relationships are deepening and I'm really grateful for those. But I think that just connection, period, can happen all over the place, like all over the place. And of course, connection with my son and my family. I mean, that goes without saying.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I mean, people talk about being lonely in crowded spaces, but that is, I guess, as much internal as external, right? If you go get your coffee, you can have a connection with that person. Like you can, it doesn't have to be transactional. You can really
you can just see their humanity. Like you just try to like observe humans. It doesn't even mean you have to say hi or, like verbally connect with them, but just acknowledging that like that's another human. I mean, here, the great place to do it in traffic. You're sitting in traffic, like that's another human that's having a really, like maybe they're having a really bad day, maybe they're whatever, but just to try to see them as a human in their point in time. Like they have their timeline, their life, and for whatever reason you're intersecting right now, and they're like, I don't know, it's just really helped me like not take anything personally. Like people are doing what they're doing. We all have our bad days and
good days too. I mean, I go back to what you were talking about sometimes with all the podcasts and the books and how sometimes needing the creative outlet. And just as you described that in traffic, there was a movie, Wonder Boys, that they were like creative writers. One was a professor and would go out and at a restaurant, they would just come up with whole stories watching the people. And, he's about to go on his first date and they met here. And you can kind of create that whole narrative that makes them real people because you're developing, but it's exercising that creative muscle for yourself, I would think.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't have to be right, but just to acknowledge that they're human and they're doing their human things just like you, and I just think that's a way to kind of connect with the world, and it maybe opens the space for deeper connections. I don't know, but it was an important exercise that I started doing. Oddly enough, I actually used to work in a restaurant and I used to do that exact thing. Okay. Like, not so much make it up as much as like you could see people are on their first date. And you could see, but it didn't start then. It's just only something maybe in the, probably since I started meditating. I don't know. Just you go through enough stuff in life. And like, I remember when my brother, he was tragically hit by a car and I had to like rush down to the hospital. I didn't know if he would still be alive when I got there. And I was driving very fast and like a total a-hole, like down the freeway. And I'm sure people just thought, I'm sure somebody was honking at me, but so like when somebody's, that was like, for me, became a time when I was like, oh, okay, what, they're just having their day, they're having their day. And you just kind of, you start like, we're just all humans here and we're all doing the best we can. And I know that there are, evil people out there. I mean, sorry to say, but there are people that are not so great, but they didn't start out that way.
Yeah.
There's nuances.
Recognize that shared humanity is really a wonderful place to maybe wrap this. But before we do, is there anything you want to share that we didn't cover?
Yeah, I think let's talk about how to start. I want to make sure people, because you open that space of longevity and you start listening to podcasts, and it's all of a sudden before you know it, you're I don't know, $500 in debt because you bought all this tech and you bought all this and you bought all the supplements, and where does a person start? And just we got to remember, Dr. Darshan Shah talks about this, like the Pareto principle, that like 20% of your actions are going to get you 80% of the way. And the low hanging fruit, that 20% in our world is, exercise and diet. Like those two things are going to get you so far. And so really we got to like come up with a structure. And the way I like to people is to kind of sit back before you even start exercising. Like, what's your why? Like, why would you do this? Why would you even make any changes to what you're doing? And like, for me, it's my son. I really want to, when he was younger, when my brother died, I thought, God, I do not want to be not there for him. Like what, because it could just end. So I really wanted to make sure that I was as healthy as possible to raise him for as long as possible. So that was kind of my why. Now it's just changing to like, I hope I'm there for him as he ages and gets into the world and possibly grandchildren. But, and then you've got to look at, what's your intention? When it comes to longevity, there's many different intentions. There could be, I just want to live, forever. I want to live, 500 years. I want to live 100 years. I just want to like have a healthy health span. So everybody's a little bit different, but determining that and then looking at your resources. So having those three will help you filter the information because one, your intention might change, your resources change. And so as those change, like what you take in, because you might be listening to a podcast. Let's say you're listening to a podcast on, exosomes. And then you realize like, I don't have either the time or the income for that. Well, then maybe, you know what? Like, let's not listen to that right now. Like focus more on like taking your energy and putting it on the things that you can focus on. So, I encourage people to just start somewhere with diet and exercise, even if it's a 10-minute walk, maybe it's adding a vegetable, and to build really, really small steps. One step a day is better than trying to do all 365 at once and failing and then beating yourself up and, just small steps. And those are the ones that have always been the most effective is when I just take a tiny step forward.
And consistently continue to do it. I mean, it's the effectiveness comes from the consistency. And it doesn't matter what research says of, hey, these people locked in this box for this period of time that were forced to do this. These were the results. If nobody's able to do that, it doesn't really matter. It's what are you going to actually do and stick with?
Yeah. I mean, like if it's going to the gym, it's just go to the gym and like bring your smelly soaps and like don't even work out. Like just go to the gym and like take the shower there, maybe do a sauna. Like that's your practice for a month, whatever it is, wherever you are, you have to intuitively, you will know, like, what your next thing is. If you're sitting on the couch, then you need to get up, those kind of things. Like I think we should really have to tune into our own intuition.
It's a language we knew when we were very young that I think we kind of crowd out with a bunch of noise, a bunch of
like
layers.
Like your daughter, she knows. She's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do this.
Yeah. And we can learn so much from watching them getting back to where we used to be.
Yeah.
Well, Julie, this has been absolutely wonderful. You are definitionally a role model when it comes to Healthspan. And I can't thank you enough for the time today. Just before we close, are there any, since we're doing this kind of as we enter a new year, are there any goals for 2025 that you have for the year when it comes to your health?
Yeah. So by the end of the year, I want to be able to do 5 pull-ups because even despite being a swimmer, I can't, for whatever reason, I've never been able to do a pull-up. I was a gymnast. I could do kind of other things, but a pull-up, no. So that's my, my December goals. I've got a workout plan, around that. So that's the physical fitness goal. And then I've just started a YouTube channel, which is hilarious. It's so fun. It's so fun. I haven't posted anything yet. I'm just recording a few things and I'll start posting. And it's just at Julie Gibson Clark. So it'll be, my longevity kitchen, helping people cook and structure their week and just kind of let them in to see what I've been doing and help them.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, one kind of personal and then one in the give back, which really aligns with your whole outlook. So that's wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much, Julie.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of the Home of Healthspan podcast. And remember, you can always find the products, practices, and routines mentioned by today's guests, as well as many other Healthspan role models on alively.com. Enjoy a lively day.